message study this morning. How many of you have heard of the book called Yorubu? Miriam Arnold. You see that? This is one of our points of analysis you can see over there. We are a spiritual people because why? We are African people. We are a spiritual people because we are an African people. Now, this is critical to us understanding our topic today, and most of us don't understand that enough because we've been here in a captive place, and a lot of the concepts, a lot of those spiritual concepts as to who we are have been washed out. So we have been whitewashed. And we just, now why do we say that? Because of these 10 points that I have on the board here. We let our names go collectively as a people. I want you guys, you think about that. We have what is that? Is that surrendered?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have surrendered our way of life. We have surrendered our way of life.
We have lost our appetite.
We have lost our appetite.
We have a general loss of memory.
Now stop right there. We have a general and collective loss of memory. Think about the gravity of what that is saying. Because if you ask us who we are, go back, kick up a one, and this is what I'm talking about. And being here in America, that is a major contribution to our general loss of memory to who we really are as a people. We have created false memories. We have created false memories. We have lost our land. This is a critical one also because we know that if we say that all history is a current event, we know through our own novelty, we didn't think that other humans would be so cruel, would be so bad. We accepted them in the seat of our homeland, expecting they would act like us. They came in with the Bible, and when they came in, they gave us the Bible, and they took the land, and now today we have the Bible and they have the land. We have lost our independent production capacity. Think about what that means. Let me tell you something about being here in America. They made it policy, brothers and sisters. In 1660, they made it policy that Africans on American soil were to be regarded as non-competitive labor. Do y'all understand that? This is why we have so much problems today. They put it in policy that we are to be recognized as a non-competitive labor force. Just think about the gravity of that. We have lost independent control of ourselves. We have lost our sensitivity, and as a cumulative result of all these, we have lost our solidarity. We have lost our unity. You know, Kwame Ture used to tell us that we would be unified in spite of ourselves. And that's saying a whole lot. I've talked to a whole lot of us, and and I tell you, we can write 1,500 encyclopedias on the sickness that we have here in this place. So today, brothers and sisters, we're going to deal with the true meaning of the refinement. And before I get to that, what I want to do is what I say to you all the time. Let me introduce the books by which we put this lesson study today. And again, I said we're putting the brakes on the true meaning of the Bible series just to do this one today. And we'll go back to the Bible series. But these are the books that I want to introduce you to for today. Now, how many of you have heard of Amos Wilson? Raise your hand. This was a dynamic brother. He's in the ancestral realm now. But one of the books he wrote was Black on Black Violence. Now, this should be a must read for all of us so that you understand. You know, like I say, thought, action, deed, speech, and behavior. When we talk about the horrors that is going on in the world, we don't understand it. But if you read this book, look at the title, Black on Black Violence, the psychodynamics of black self-annihilation in the service of white domination. This brother does an excellent job. See, this is why I tell you, without apology, give me what you say is bad black people. Put them on that side of the coin and put what you call good white people over here. I'm taking the bad black people every time without apology. Y'all hear me? You got to understand this. You got to understand a lot of people get angry. And we say to the brothers and sisters, don't get angry with us. Raise your conscience level so you can know what we understand, what this fight is all about. The other book that we pulled from for the true meaning of the refinement is the ISIS Papers, The Keys to the Color by Francis Wilson. How many of you have heard of Francis Wilson? Look, brother, this is a good fight that we're in. We stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, and we take what they're saying. Now, this book here, How White Folks Got So Rich, the untold story of American white supremacy. This little book here, brothers and sisters, is the book that all MIT in the House of St. Corbin carry with them. Because we say that when you get in front of the people, you got to know what you're talking about. And you cannot be apologetic for what you're saying. Because the facts are here. The history is here. This is why this is a must for all the MITs in the House of St. Corbin. And then the other book that we have is Racial Matters. The FBI Secret File on Black America, 1960 to 1972, by Kenneth O'Reilly. Look, for instance, I've been accused of, when I talk about white supremacy, people say, why you talk about hate white? Look, this is on our master list, Racial Matters. Look in this book, and you'll see this program called COINTELPRO. Number one, you'll see the unrelenting attack on Africans in America in general, and the civil rights movement in particular. You will see that. It's a good piece of work. It's on the master list. And then the other book that I want to share with everybody is two books, come in 2 volumes. It's the textbook for the victims of white supremacy by Neely Fuller Jr. Now, when this brother wrote this book, I read the volume 1, and the brother Nashville got in touch with the brother's nephew, who was a professor at Fisk University, and said, well, look, my uncle would love to hear the work that you guys are doing with the textbook. And so, the way it happened, I talked to Neely Fuller a couple of times on the phone. And this brother is probably about 80 plus years old. And he's saying that, look, when I'm able, I would love to come here to the house of San Coast. So that's still in the making. But when this book, volume 2, came off the press, when it came off the press, the brother told me, he said, look, brother, it's fresh off the press, and you two are going to be the first people that I send a copy to. And he said, fresh off the press, and he put his signature right there for us, so everybody can see it. Because the brother appreciated that we were doing something with the material here. Now, how many of you have heard of Noam Chomsky? Noam Chomsky. Look, one of his major works is Manufacturing Consent. This book right here tells you the illusion and the fallacy about what you call American democracy. And I'm glad that he wrote it because, number one, you know what I tell you about that ICE story? He provides documents on the role of the media in presenting this false thing. You know, I listen to people, and it's horrifying to hear how you talk about being here in America. We are so confused and we're sick. But this book here, this morning, I'm glad to say, is part of our analysis in the refinement stage. Those are all the books that I used to put this together. Now, I'd like to start with this quote out of volume 2. It's also in volume 1, but it's right there on page 1 in volume 2. It says that if you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. You know, that right there, brothers and sisters, is saying a whole lot. And people, we don't even think about what this brother is trying to tell us by saying this, what he said. If you don't understand this, everything else you think you understand will only confuse you. And remember, we are controlled by our speech, our thoughts, our actions, and our being. Now, I get horrified when I listen to people. Well, you know, them niggas ain't this. And we are a spiritual people because we are an African people. It tells you that you don't understand that. Because it's not the reverse, it's that. We are a spiritual people because we are an African people. That is saying something about yourself. That is saying something about where you originally came from. And you wouldn't be here in this environment had it not been for a criminal taking you out of that original environment. So now, to go into Amos Wilson's work, black on black violence. Now, the reason, now watch this, brothers and sisters. We are saying that right now in the 21st century, all of us must act as if our only reason for living is to eliminate white supremacy from the globe. Did y'all hear what I said?
Yes.
You see, now, and I don't want you to take this lightly. On page, that's right, I'll say. Brother Amos Wilson told us this. Look, listen to this. I want you to think about the gravity of what is being said here. He said that more young black men died from homicide in 1 year. He's talking about the year 1977. Men that died in 10 years in the Vietnam War. Do y'all hear what I'm saying?
Can you say that one more time?
More young black men died from homicide in 1 year. We talk about 1977. Then died in 10 years in the Vietnam War. Do y'all understand the gravity of what I'm saying here? In these streets in America, at what they call peacetime, we have killed ourselves more than we have been killed in a foreign war. And he goes on to say that black men are 6 times as likely as white men to be murder victims. Murder is the 4th leading cause of the death of black males of the age 20 to 29. I want you to underline that, 20 to 29. And between the ages of 15 and 24, homicide is the largest, it is the leading cause of death among black males. And he said that 1982, 1/2 of all suicides among black males occurred between the ages of 20 to 34 years. 36% of all suicides were this about black males. Now listen to this. Those ages that I gave you, brothers and sisters, those are what?
Production.
Those are childbearing years. Those are see, what you're gonna learn in this presentation on the refinement is that deception is the rule. Deception is the rule. Rather than telling you, let's kill them all, let it appear to be that they kill themselves to absolve us from this crime. And you can never allow a criminal to explain his own crime. That's rule number 1. And we need to take our gloves off and get in this fight. Because it's a good fight. And we keep showing up at the fight with slingshots. And they have B-52 bombs. We need to get ready for this. And check this out. The other part of that statistics, in the Congo right now, according to UN statistics, how many of you know that the most rapes in human history has been registered out of the Congo? How many of you know that? The most rapes, not only the most rapes, but those rapes that have been imposed upon the sisters there, they are infecting them with disease. Did y'all hear what I'm saying? They are infecting them with disease. This is off the hook. And because many of you, I know how you think, because it's over there, it don't involve you. That's our thinking here in America. You see, but as I say, the universe, as the Africans told us, the universe is what?
Mental.
The universe is what?
Mental.
Mental. And the correspondence rule. So brothers and sisters, when we talk about the refinement, let us talk about the areas of human activity. We're going to deal with the areas of human activity, and then we'll go into what the definition of refinement means. Area 1, economics. Economics. The first area of human activity. The second area of human activity is education. The third area of human activity is entertainment. Entertainment. The fourth area of human activity is labor. Labor, what you call labor. And the fifth area of human activity is law. And the sixth area of human activity is politics, people relations, war without bloodshed. That's politics. And then the next area of human activity is religion. Religion. The eighth area of human activity is what? Sex. Sex. Sex is the second greatest motivating force on the planet next to racism. How it is used against us. We got to be clear on this. And then the ninth area of human activity is war and counter war. 9 major areas of human activity you are involved in, whether you know it, understand it, or not. Those are the 9 major areas of human activity.
So,
if you do not raise your conscious level to understand those, then you are participating in your own captivity.
so can you go through it one more time rapidly just to make sure I have it?
Okay? Education, entertainment. Let's go from one. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex,
War and counter war, got it.
and war and counter war. Those are the 9 major areas of people activity.
I got them, thank you.
Now that we've gotten those down, let's deal with the definition of refinement. And as I told you, we're dealing with volume 1 and volume 2 of the textbook for the victims. So on page 34 and 35, I want y'all to listen to this closely. What is meant by refining white supremacy? Listen to this, brothers and sisters. It says, the term refinement of white supremacy means to improve the methods of maintaining white supremacy. Did y'all hear me? Improve the method of maintaining white supremacy. So when you understand that, you understand that nothing has changed in America. This means that the white supremacists, the racists, strive to decrease, listen to me, decrease the necessity for using violence in order to threat of violence against non-white people. Meaning that you're not, crossing the bridge of Selma was then. This is today. They give you the illusion, and they strive to increase the use of the sea as the basic means of causing their victims. Listen to this. As the basic means of causing their victims to enjoy and or not resist their subjugation to white supremacy. Don't y'all know that when we first got here in America, the #1 word that they used on all of us, whether we understood it or not, was our ability to resist. And here it is in the refinement stage. They make you enjoy you being subjugated by white supremacy. They make you not want to resist this madness. each other when you hear somebody like myself talking about white supremacy? What have you said? I've heard 1,000. Oh man, that nigga's crazy. Oh man, that's just him. His personal life is caught up in this. Do y'all hear what I'm saying to y'all? The refinement stage of white supremacy. Listen to this. The refinement stage is the ideal stage of racial subjugation. Why do we say that? The ideal stage. They have taken the science down. And all of this is the ideal stage of racial subjugation to those white supremacists who strive to produce it. They prefer a condition in which their victims willfully support being subjects of white supremacists as they become accustomed to believing that this is the best possible arrangement between white and non-white people. Did y'all hear that?
Willfully accepted.
Willfully. They prefer a condition in which their victims willfully support. Now, do I have to break that down? Or do we understand what this willful support means? Because when somebody like myself come and tell you that this is a good fight, that we should be embracing our own culture, you get the resistance from our own people.
Yeah.
Huh? You get the resistance from our own people. And you talk about how crazy somebody like myself is. Huh? And when we tell you, people come to me all the time and ask me about who is my mate. Look at this. Look at this. That's your mate, sister. That brother there is your mate. And brother, that sister there is your mate. That's the end of the discussion. Now people do what they want to do, but that is the bottom line. Huh? The white supremacists, the racists promote the refinement of white supremacy by speaking and or acting in a manner that make the practice of white supremacy more, listen to me, acceptable and are more appealing to its victims. Acceptable and appealing. Do y'all follow me?
Yeah.
White supremacy, racism is a non-just and incorrect socio-material practice, no matter how it is practiced, and no matter how appealing or acceptable it may be to its victims. A lot of people I get into discussions with, look at Oprah, look at Bill Cosby. Look, these people practice profit and loss. They're masters at it. I'll say it again. They practice profit and loss. They allow a small portion to profit, but the majority is still, you never can rise above the rim of your people.
Right.
It has never happened. It has never happened, brothers and sisters.
And they still walk through our society and get abused just like everybody else. Every last one of them, no matter how much money they make.
But they know how much they have hit us over the head. So when they give us this, they know that you're going to get excited. I said they know that you're going to get excited because they have kept this away from you for so long. Huh? And the refinement stage of white supremacy is generally promoted through the systematic use of falsehood and or flattery. I underline that word flattery. And sometimes, listen, Sometimes flattery takes the form of material objects distributed among non-white people of the known universe to be used as status symbols.
Is that why it's mainly like the worst stage of all stages?
Yes.
Yes, and this flattery might be a big house. It might be a fine automobile, or it might be a large bank account. And they say, well, look, if he can do it, if she can do it, then the rest of y'all can do it. And if the rest of y'all don't do it, what do they say about you?
Something wrong with you there.
Something is wrong with you. You're lazy. You don't have what it takes. Huh? This flattery that they use is the height of deception, brothers and sisters. Now, let me preface what I'm saying. I don't wish nobody anything bad. I'm happy to see brothers and sisters get out and do it. But we have to understand what's at stake. Do y'all understand that?
Yes.
We have to understand what's at stake. So the refinement stage of white supremacy includes speech, interaction by white supremacists, listen, that appears to be against white supremacy, but in truth is only the promotion of white supremacy in a different or more deceitful form. Let me give you a great example, a direct example. A couple of weeks ago, we had a meeting in that room with city officials. The subject was the matriculations of Africans to top management positions in the city. You had a European sit in front of a room full of Africans and tell the Africans that the model that they use for accessing the ability of the matriculation of Africans was built on a 1850s model. Now, when he said that, my mind immediately started running because I wanted to make sure that I heard exactly what he said. And then shortly after that, he said that we cannot have matriculation based on race. Based on race. So what that meant, brothers and sisters, some of those brothers and sisters who are overqualified, been in that system for over 30 years, and not have seen a sign of matriculation. Nobody challenged the European when it was question and answer. I simply asked him, how can you sit up in this room and tell all of these people that this model that you're talking about, that you're putting your merit on, that people are putting their livelihood on, is based on the 1850s model? I said, are you aware of what was happening in America, all across America in the 1850s as it relates to black people?
What did he say?
What did he say, brother?
He said, absolutely. He's been very, very, very aware. And, hasn't been changed.
And he stubbornly maintained that this model was what they were going to use to determine who advances to the next level or not.
So he was telling them they don't never change. And they were too simple to figure out.
But basically, that's what he was saying.
that's before slavery ended, right?
There's a county in
You
Santa Clara.
see, this is what I'm saying about deceit. I want y'all to understand this thing about deceit. I want you to understand this thing about flattery. Huh? This is a serious thing. And look, what other method of practicing racism and white supremacy and refinement? They use the method of deceit, that is subtle and or indirect violence, or they use violence direct, including the threat of violence. Deceit. What is deceit? How do I define that? Listen to this. Saying things that are false and influencing non-white people to believe things that are not true. I'll give you an example of that when I finish the definition. This is done in such a skillful manner that all non-white people, either directly or indirectly, submit to and or cooperate with the practice of white supremacy. Then the definition of violence, using direct or indirect bodily harm, or threatening to use direct or indirect bodily harm against non-white people who do not submit to and or cooperate with white supremacists, racists in a satisfactory manner. White supremacy is always practiced with deceit. White supremacy is always practiced with deceit, or with direct violence, or with greatly sophisticated combination of both. Now this brother asked about this thing about deceit. Now, in order, we have the rough draft of the true meaning of manhood written down. Now, in America, we say that all history is a current event. No black man in America is defined from America as a man. Do y'all hear what I'm saying to you? We have to understand that. Now the only way that you could matriculate through this system is for you to wear the badge of what they call non-threatening. Do y'all hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I had a discussion with some brothers and sisters after the movie, The Butler. There's a scene in there when the movie first comes on where the people are working in the field, and the European, with his appetite for this violence, pulled the sister away from the field, dragged her just like they do in caveman. Dragged her in front of all the family, in front of all the workers in the field, and threw her in his house and did what he wanted to do with her. All the brother did when the European came out, he questioned him. What are you doing? What are you doing? That was the end of that brother's time on this plane of existence. And life just kept going on. So you understand what I'm saying here, brothers and sisters? Now multiply that by 1,000. This is what we're talking about here. This is the beast that you're dealing with. And I say this for you right now, today, we're dealing with the prison industrial complex. America locks up over 2 million of its own citizens. Now, if you are 12% of the population, it is you who constitute the majority of those 2 million. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? After the Civil War, there was 0% of us in the prison industrial complex in America. But after the Civil War, that thing went from 0 to 36% overnight. Do y'all hear what I'm saying to you? Because they put in act what is called the Fugitive Act. And you know that after the Civil War, what the Africans was doing, something that nobody else had ever done in the history of humanity. These were slaves. They had sense enough to know that their family member was sold from right under their own eyes. They were walking the back streets of America. brothers and sisters, that is amazing. That's an amazing piece of the story of humanity. You got to love yourself. You got to love yourself to understand that this is the people who produced you. Huh? And because they were looking for family members in groves, these people put in policy that if we catch them doing this, they are committing, they are violating the Fugitive Act. They are vagrants. They are vagrants. That's how that number went from 0 to 36% overnight. Huh? And this thing that you call criminal today, I tell you, unless you put Warren Buffett, unless you put Donald Trump, unless you put George Bush and those like in front of a firing squad, you don't know what the hell you're talking about as far as a criminal is concerned. Because they make criminals in America. They make criminals in America. So brothers and sisters, I'm going to close out on the 6 characteristics of the refinement. And I'll read that from volume 2. The brother told me I got, how many minutes? 8 minutes. 3:30 to 3:31. Out of volume 2 here.
And it's the 6, say it one more time?
The 6 characteristics of the refinement.
Okay. Ready.
3:30. Refined racism, white supremacy. Use this term to apply to the other and most sophisticated form of white supremacy and to those forms of white supremacy that usually have many of the following or similar characteristics or results. 1, non-white persons being deceived or fooled by the white supremacist races in a manner that does not appear to be deceit. 2, non-white persons denying to themselves and others that white supremacist racism exists in or denying to that white supremacist racism is a major problem. Did y'all hear that?
White supremacy exists.
Number 3, non-white persons speaking or acting as if the system of white supremacist racism is the best way of conducting the affairs of the people of the known universe. I heard 1,000 more say, well, you know, even with the problems we have in America, it's still the best place in the world to live. How many of y'all heard that? I know you have. I know you have because that's what we are. Non-white person speaking or acting as if the destructive things that have happened every day as a result of the system of white supremacy and racism are not only so-called normal and or acceptable, but often desirable. I talk about the prison industrial complex. I even hear people tell me, sitting right across from me, well, you gotta lock those niggas up because if you don't lock them up, they're gonna be on the street killing you. Have you heard that? That's the language that's how we talk to each other. But if we talk to each other, what about this? What about this, brothers and sisters? And non-white person preferring to waste time, showing off, and insulting, fighting, and killing each other, rather than make a serious and sustaining effort to rid the known universe of racism, white supremacy, and other forms of injustice. Look, when you come into the house of Sankofa, when you come to the house of Sankofa, you're making a statement on our level of struggle here on this plane of existence at this time. No matter how you might think it should move faster. You might think it should move more glamorous. But when you come to those doors, it is a necessary part of you making a contribution to the process of this struggle. And non-white persons being serious about matters that are silly. Listen to this. Non-white persons being serious about matters that are silly, but being silly about matters that are serious. Did y'all hear that? Or being generally confused about the best and correct way to do or say or not do or say in regards to economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, and counter-war. And this is my conclusion on this part. Many white supremacist racists are generally skilled in the practice of refined racism. You hear it every day. Refined white supremacy. This means that they are the masters of deception. They are the masters of confusion. This means that they know how to cause non-white people to think, speak, and act in a manner that is mostly self-destructive. When we meet and greet each other, we are a spiritual people because we are what? An African people. Now when we see a brother, you say a nigga ain't what?
Yes.
When you see a sister, you call her what? Huh? Now, one day in the House of Sankofa, we're going to have a whole lesson study on Maryland farmers. And we're going to show you the spirituality about that, about Maryland farmers. Now, the white supremacist racists know how to make the destruction appear not to have been caused by the white supremacists, racist men and racist women. Therefore, during the existence of white supremacist racism, and according to compensatory counter-racist logic, it is correct to blame, listen to me, it is correct to blame the white supremacist racists for everything that non-white people do that should not be done. Did you hear what I said? Now, this is why it is a good fight. And I do this, I say this without apology. Refined racism is a form of white supremacy that is designed to make many non-white people more comfortable in mind and body, while at the same time helping to make the practice of white supremacy more sophisticated, more stronger, and easier to maintain. I've heard many of sisters and brothers to say, brother, when we come to the House of Sankofa, let us look at this stuff. Let us talk about what is happening to us as a people. Well, I ain't got nothing to do with that. All I want to do is go to work and come home. They pay me, brother. And when they pay me the money, that allows me to get food, clothing, and shelter. You see, you just a sophisticated level of what the field Negro used to say. Where are we going to get better clothes than we get here? Where are we going to get better shoes than we get here? Where are we going to get better food than... It ain't changed. It's the same concept. It's just been refined. Under refined racism, non-white people are helped to learn many things that they were previously not allowed to learn. Under refined racism, non-white people are allowed sometimes, listen to this, sometimes having better housing, sometimes having better transportation, and sometimes having more money. I underline that word, allowed. Some or many non-white persons are enticed to have greater and more open sexual relations with white people. And here's a good one for a lot of us. Since they took those signs down, you can't keep the brothers away from those European women. And I want y'all to do this test for yourself. Look at what you call professional sports. Look at professional sports. See how many brothers have as their significant other a European woman?
Entertainment too.
I was gonna go there.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna go there. Do y'all know that that speaks? That's just not an individual thing. That's the behavior. That's a collective behavior of what we think about ourselves. Do y'all know that? That's the real, brothers and sisters. If it happens that much, in that degree, it's something wrong with us. That's all I'm saying.
It's because it's part of the culture that you haven't arrived unless you have a white woman by your side.
Absolutely.
Masses of men are very ignorant and don't know any better, and they think they have arrived.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be with no broke nigga.
And they socialize them too.
Yeah. See, look, listen to y'all. 'Cause y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Some or many are often allowed to do work that is easier. Some or many are allowed to have more food and of a greater variety. Some or many are allowed to have greater participation in selected social and business functions. Better medical care is provided for them. They are allowed to acquire numerous toys and some so-called status symbols. They are allowed to have greater participation in so-called law games in which they can learn, make, and use law, but not in a manner that produces justice. Praise, compliments, flattery, and awards are sometimes provided in great abundance. Brothers and sisters, I tried to make it as clear as possible, but I'm going to read two more paragraphs and then we'll close down here. It says, during the refinement of white supremacy and racism, non-white people do more things and go more places. They learn more about things, but they are led to understand less about white supremacy and racism, what it is and how it works. Non-white people remain independent upon what is decided by racist men and racist women, white supremacy. Many non-white people are deceived into not knowing or understanding how dependent they are. Under refined racism, white supremacy, many victims of racism, non-white people seem to be less dependent on racist men and racist women, when in truth, their dependence is becoming greater. So a refined white supremacist racist also delights in showing how greatly skilled and heroic they themselves are when they come to the rescue of non-white persons who are apparently unable to save themselves from a primitive or pitiful circumstance or from the result of stupid or silly acts. So the first major indication that refined racism, refined white supremacy is working smoothly is when the great number of both white and non-white people speak and act as if they have a silent agreement to pretend that white supremacy racism no longer exists.
Absolutely.
Did y'all hear about this?
Yeah.
And as if it